Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is the lesson for Friday, the 26th of February. Well, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we spent a lot of time just talking about what words mean, and we got to read the Martin Luther King Jr. speech and listen to a portion of it. Today, you're going to get in a little bit deeper and you're going to write up a profile of the speech. So let's look at our angle, what we're going to focus on. So if you would, click on our learning target and we'll get started. If at any time you need to pause this video to work on the side and then come back or rewind, feel free. All right, here's your learning target for today. By the end of class, I will analyze Martin Luther King's use of connotations and persuasive language to convey his viewpoint. I will show I could do this by identifying MLK's tone, listing two key quotes from the text, telling what they mean, and explaining why they matter, using your sentence frame to summarize his viewpoint. Right on your screen, go ahead and click Next. So the first thing I'd like you to do is look at these two sentences and think for just a second. Read them to yourself. Okay, how does changing the word between poison and pesticide change what the meaning of the sentence is? Did it take a different tone? Is there a different viewpoint being expressed? For example, if someone says that they often spray poison on their fruits and vegetables, or they spray pesticides on their fruits and vegetables, those are two different statements. Now, some people may have opinions about this, but we can all agree that there is a difference. If you would, at the top of your screen, you'll see there's a box. Go ahead and click, or a button. It's blue. It says Submit Assignment. Click that button, and it'll load the text box in the bottom of the page. All right, you can see the button right here, Submit Assignment. Go ahead and click it if you haven't. And I'd like you to just give me, put a number 1, and give me your quick understanding of how those two sentences changed when we use the word poison versus the word pesticide. You can pause the video and then come back. All right, hopefully you were able to finish up and you gave your understanding of how those meanings were changed. I wanted to find something for you really quickly here on my screen. You'll see that connotations are what change the meaning of words. So connotations are the feelings or emotions associated with a word. It goes beyond the actual meaning of the word, and it paints a picture or invokes a feeling. Invokes just means like causes you to feel a feeling. Take a look at this image. We see there's a little kid standing up here on some books looking over a fence. We have two different words, curious and nosy. Think to yourself, if we called him curious, what image or what idea do you have generated in your mind? If we said he was nosy, what image or idea do you have generated in your mind? Well, you see a positive connotation here. Calling this person curious means that they're looking to find out information, maybe to better themselves or to explore something, right? To generate a new idea or to learn something new. This boy is, or this person is curious looking over that fence. We say this person is nosy looking over the fence. That has a negative connotation. It creates a negative image in our minds or a negative idea in our minds about this boy, maybe looking at something that's none of his business. See, if you call him curious, you're saying that he wants to find something out to maybe make his position better. But if he's nosy, he isn't supposed to be looking over that fence. It's not his business. It's not necessarily going to put him in a better position. It's one that maybe he's being selfish or acting out of self-interest. There's a lot of different ways that we can go about this. Now we'll look back at our sentences. So when we say that a farmer often sprays poison versus a farmer sprays pesticide, we said that that evoked two different ideas. But let's look at how we define those two words. The denotation. The denotation is the definition that appears in the dictionary. A poison is a substance causing illness or death when eaten, drunk, or absorbed, even in relatively small quantities. Poison is a scary word. Now, pesticide, on the other hand, is a kind of poison meant specifically to kill insects, weeds, etc. And there's lots of different kinds of pesticides. There are some that would be harmful to humans and animals. There's others that are not so much, that are maybe targeted specifically for one type of harmful, intrusive insect. So if we're looking at it from this point of view, a poison is generally classified as being dangerous. A pesticide, on the other hand, when we're, again, comparing, it's a type of poison, but it's kind of acting in a helpful way. So the connotation of those words, poison, harmful, dangerous, evil, it's what witches put on apples and give to Snow Whites. Pesticides, on the other hand, see, pesticides are helpful, and we're going to say they're safe for humans and good, because they help grow our crop. So when we look at the connotation versus the denotation, essentially these words mean the same thing in the dictionary. They're both meant to destroy something, but the connotation, right? The feeling behind the word, the negative or positive emotion built into that word, or the negative or positive implications built into that word, are very different. I'd like you to go down to this next section. So we're going to do the same thing that you did up here, where you explained, the difference between those two words in those sentences and what the image is created in your mind. And we're going to look at something a little bit longer. Okay, so we're going to pick two of the four bold words. So you'll see that we have group, we have clique, gang, and club. I want you to choose two of those words, and we're going to plug it in, or you're going to plug it in to this blank right here. And you'll see that there's a very short little excerpt from a news article that I found. I want you to choose two words, insert them, and then in the box below, come down here and make a number 2. I want you to, here in the text box, before you submit, tell how the two words you've chosen would have different implications or different meanings based on their connotation. So let me do a quick think aloud. So our four words: a group, a clique, a club, and a gang. A group is fairly neutral. Say a group of anything. It's not really implying if they're, if it's a positive group or a negative group. It simply describes, in this example, a number of people. It does not inspire positive or negative feelings. So if I said a group of students were walking down the hall, then I'm really just kind of reporting a fact. Clique can also mean group, but it has a negative connotation. The idea is it's an in-group. A clique is typically used in circumstances where people know each other and associate with each other, but exclude others. Oh, here comes a clique of students walking down the hall. That has a negative idea, meaning they're an exclusive group and they don't include others. This word needs to be used very carefully because you want your group of friends to be considered welcoming and positive and not have a negative connotation to it. The next is gang. This is an organized group. Again, we're talking about groups, but typically having a negative connotation. It sometimes can be used for a criminal activity. Sometimes it's used in, in the activity might be violent in nature. And then lastly, club. Now this one is more positive than clique. It is an in-group, meaning like it's full of members. But typically people associate themselves with clubs. They volunteer for them, or they voluntarily sign up if you meet, specific requirements or certain interests, then you're welcome to join. Clubs are typically open for joining, and it's usually, like it says here, based on a shared passion or purpose. So we have a neutral tone, we have a somewhat negative tone, we have a highly negative tone, and we have a somewhat positive tone. These connotative words are going to change the meaning of this article. Go ahead, plug 2 of them in, and you don't have to copy and paste this. You could just down below tell me which 2 you included, and you say, well, if we read the article and it uses, insert the word, it would mean this. It would change the meaning of the article to this way. Okay, pause the video and then come back, and once you're done and you've put that in, you can submit. All right, now that you've submitted, let's move on to the last part in your independent work for today. You're going to go back and look at the Martin Luther King text. And when you do, you're going to read with a very specific critical eye. Here's what we were looking for. We're looking for Martin Luther King Jr.'s viewpoint. And then we're going to focus in and drill down on the specific words that he chose. Take, for instance, these 2 questions. What would another author have a different point of view depending on his or her background experiences? So yesterday we talked about the background and the context with which that speech was given in 1963. Would another author possibly have a different viewpoint? Keep that in mind. And then the second thing, what picture does the author paint for the reader? So also think about this. All right, go ahead and on your screen, click Next. All right, I'm on my screen, which looks a little bit different than yours, but you should have here at the top, Explore MLK Speech Profile, and then today's date, and then this little PRFL, which just stands for profile. What you'll do is locate your name in blue down below, and you'll have a copy of your document to open. Go ahead and click on that. Now, while it's loading, you're going to see just some very, very brief directions here at the top on slide 1. On slide 2, you'll see that there's a link that'll open a copy of the Martin Luther King text. You're going to just click it and hover over, and you'll be able to open it now. I want to show you something in just a second. Don't necessarily open that yet. And then you'll have page 1 of the profile and page 2 of the profile. Let's go back to page 1 of the profile. Now leave it on this page. And what I did is I actually, here, I'm going to click on Modules. And I'm going to go back to my module. I want to show you something. So yesterday, on Thursday, you all annotated a copy of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. If you would, go in and right here in the Explore, Analyze, reopen your copy from yesterday so that you'll have your notes. Now let me show you 2 things. So if I go back here to this activity for today, you can open a new copy to view, but it won't have any of your notes on it, the things that you highlighted and the figurative language that we annotated. So feel free to open a new copy to look at, but if you want your notes, you're going to have to go back here to Thursday and the Explore, Analyze MLK's I Have a Dream speech. If you click on that and go into your document from yesterday, you'll be able to open your notes. All right, let's get back. But either way, you'll have to have a copy open. Let's get back to this activity. Now, first of all, folks, I would never ask you to do anything that I haven't done myself. So if you would, let's go down to slide 5. Here is my teacher example. Now, what I did was I did the first half of the speech, the part that we didn't read, the part you weren't responsible for. You're more than welcome to read it. Here's the text down here. You can click on it if you want to. But I have a fully completed example of the project that I did just in case you want to see what this looks like. All right, so I'm going to go to slide 3, and feel free to stay on this screen on this video, and then you can explore your version, and then always come back to the video and rewind. So you're going to start top to bottom. The very first box right here is a sentence frame. And this information was covered yesterday. That's why I encourage you to open your notes from yesterday. Martin Luther King Jr.'s purpose for delivering this speech was to, and here's some choices, delete the ones that you're not using, only choose one answer. All right, his purpose was to blank, and then his listeners that. I want you to type in what the topic, or what is he talking about, the overview of his speech. Again, this information was addressed yesterday and you have it in your notes. This is you showing that you understand. The next two parts here and here where I'm highlighting, you'll see that it says say. Below you need to list one thing that MLK says about his topic. And this is where you put your topic in. So what is one quote that you pulled from the text yesterday? Or if you didn't pull anything, or maybe it doesn't fit with the topic, choose something new. Now, don't just pick a piece of figurative language like righteousness rolls down, or like water, that quote, that simile that we looked at. Don't just put that in, because that's not necessarily linked directly to his topic. He used that to illustrate a point. So make sure you're finding a piece of information that is evidence that supports the topic, okay? And if you're not clear on what that means, go back into the speech, determine the topic, and then continue to read the text until you find a point that he's making. Usually those are going to be based on when he says, I have a dream that, or something that he wants. The next thing you'll do after you put that quote in, and if you have to adjust the font size, feel free to do that, is jump over here and say what it means. So give the quote and then tell what it means in your own words. Basically, you're paraphrasing. And then finally, after you've given the quote, you've told what it means, explain why that matters. You're going to give a little bit of commentary. So if he said something that resonates with you as being particularly important, why does that matter? Either to the speech, or to the reader, or to the audience in 1963. Why does that matter? You're going to complete the process again for a second quote. Explain what it means. Tell what it means, and then explain why it matters. Again, to his reader, to his audience, or to his overall message. Those things are pretty much linked. Now, you'll have two quotes embedded here. Remember that your quotes, or what you're quoting from the text, is directly linked to the topic. It's directly linked to the topic. If it's not, the next part is going to be very difficult. If it is, then it's going to flow and it's going to take you a minute. Go on to page 2. In this section, you're going to tell that the text you read is mainly about, and you're going to create this paragraph frame. Now, don't just put in rights or freedom or civil rights. There's more to it than that. I want you to put in your explanation. So here, where you said what the topic is, now I want you to give me the so what part. So you said what's the topic? So what is he saying about it? Okay. This section of the text is mainly about, and I might even say, how King wants his listeners to, and then complete that sentence frame. Next, you're going to say, Martin Luther King Jr. uses phrases like, and I want you to include your quotes or a portion of your quote. And then he uses a specific kind of tone, you'll put that in order to convey his viewpoint that, and you're going to reiterate or rephrase what you put up here. Okay, what's his viewpoint? This is important because he wanted his listeners and readers to, now tell what action King wants his listeners or readers to take. And then you're going to give your opinion. In my opinion, people should respond to Luther's speech. That should say King's speech by, and then you'll put in your opinion. And then when you're finished, you're done. Now, again, at any time, if you need to, you're going to, you can look at my example. I have mine all filled in. You'll see the model that I used. Okay. All right, if you need to go back and review or change any of this, I would ask that please change where I had that typo and written Luther, change it to King's speech. There we go. Excellent. All right, the last thing, once you're finished with this, please pause the video now and then you can come back when you're done. But the last thing you're going to do is going back into your module, click next. You have a short exit ticket. There are 8 questions. It is a quiz, and it's going to cover all of the things that we talked about this week. It's going to focus 4 questions on MLK's speech and then 4 questions on the reading skills that we looked at. You're allowed to use any notes, any of your notes. You're allowed to look back at our modules from this week. They will be helpful to you. And once you're done, submit, and you're finished for the day. And I'll see you back here on Monday. Remember that on Monday, we're going to take our practice SOL multiple choice, and then Tuesday, we're going to take our practice SOL essay. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk with you later. Bye now.